Yo, what's up? It's Nick here. In Carlsbad, taking a walk, getting out a little bit. I had some errands to run today. So now it's just a little... Yeah, go for it. Now it's just like a little relaxing time. And... pretty amazing that guy's riding through here with a road bike. And what I wanted to talk today about is handling situations that surprise you. And how you treat people when you are, or how I treat people, how I think it's best to treat people when you're faced with adverse situations. So recently, my roommates and I went on a trip up to Yosemite, and we went to San Francisco afterwards, and my roommate fell in love with the city and decided to live up there. He did this all pretty suddenly, and on the 5th of the month he was like, yeah, I'm really not trying to pay rent this month. So there were a few ways I could have taken that, and like at first it was a little bit of a shock, but the way I handled it, the way I handled the situation, and was I allowed it to kind of sink in. I was listening to an audiobook at the time when I got the text message. Turned the audiobook off, continued bike riding home in silence to kind of like let everything percolate up in my head and sort itself out. And I found that this is one of the things that is very necessary for me when things like this, unexpected things happen. It takes a second to absorb, internalize, and filter through in whatever time that I have to let it do so. And so after doing that, I got home, and there were a few things that I realized that I did not want to do. I did not want to make a problem out of the situation, and I did not want to make my roommate feel bad about leaving. So I congratulated him, because this was a big thing for him. He's been wanting to leave for a while. He's been wanting to go travel, and he's made lots of little plans and never really fired the gun on any of them. Like he wanted to go to Vegas, he wanted to go, to New Zealand or whatever, and this finally he did. And so from my point of view, it was actually pretty rough. Like, and still is. I'm still working to find a new roommate, and there's a lot of things, just with like him vacating the room so suddenly, that created some work for me to do. And on top of that, I'm gonna miss him. Like, he's a really cool guy. So I kind of feel like that I lost my train of thought because I was paying attention to the people walking behind me. So, what I wanted to do, my two goals with the situation were to not lose any money from him leaving, and to find somebody to replace him, and to encourage him and congratulate him on the decision he made. And with a little work, with a little flexibility and adjustment, I've been able to encourage him to go, congratulate him. I have a few potentials right now for a room to move in. The rent's paid. I fronted the money for this month. And it feels right. It feels right that he's going. It feels right that, it just feels right. But there was a lot of potential at first for me to flip out, for me to, you know, kind of like lose control over my emotions and therefore lose control over the situation. And not to say like I didn't have the emotions, like, whoa, like just like that feeling of uncertainty that actually was like pouring through me from the minute I got the message to, you know, even still now, there's a little bit of like that uncertainty there. What I would challenge in this situation, or what I would point out, is that maybe this uncertainty feeling is good. You know, there's a positive element to this uncertainty feeling. It got me off of my, you know, set mindset. It got me thinking on my feet again, being very dynamic, talking to people and networking, and finding a person to fill this spot in the room. And it also helped me realize, you know, it actually kind of inspired me too, what he did. I have half a mind to follow him and go up to San Francisco. And, you know, I preserved, you know, a really good, you know, person in my life, a relationship, that could have easily been destroyed if I handled the situation wrong. Yeah. And so that's basically the gist of the video for the day. That, you know, these situations, they arise, and my policy on the situation and the way I think is best to handle it is just to always be ready. You know, always be ready for the bottom to fall out of your plans. Always be ready for like people to bail. And if you have that plan B and plan C, if you have that, you know, few $1,000s in the bank, you know, just in case anything happens, you're gonna handle these situations with a lot more grace than you would otherwise. And even if you don't have that $1,000, just taking that time to like let everything sink in, let all the emotions to kind of run their route, and let your mind work through the situation in the best, and work out the best scenario possible for what happens, and allow it to see the positives of the situation. I think that's a really important thing. When we get mad, we like blind ourselves to the positive of like the double-edged sword of like both positive and negatives of the situation. We only focus on the negatives but if you relax and give yourself time to like meditate on it, you allow yourself to see both sides of the coin that's been flipped, and then therefore allow yourself to go on and make the strongest possible decision, and the most effective decision, and preserve, you know, the relationships if you can, and, you know, just to live the most positive experience you possibly can, because life is full of this shit, you know. And it actually, I was thinking about it earlier, it challenged me to grow up, really. Like, it challenged me to raise the bar. And little by little, people like I care about are moving away from where I live here in San Diego. And, like, it's also challenging me to be self-reliant as far as the emotions, like, and how I live, and, like, the life that I create around me. I'm not reliant on having those people to make my life a good experience anymore. So I have to kind of search from within and draw these good states from within, and then like work on it myself instead of just like depending on their energy being there. So there's a train coming right now. Appreciate you guys watching the video. I'm gonna get out of here. Once again,